Welcome back to Xhosa 7, the site of Steve's untimely demise, his cockpit destroyed in the previous mission, having a very small funeral pyre with just his closest friends, well, that's just Ember, and a new pilot, call sign Brick. Seemed like he was a good guy. Yeah, he was a good guy. Great companion. A bit of an idiot, but he always had my back. Steve, we're going to honor you by making this planet completely insufferable for all the citizens. They will starve or die of thirst in your name. It's time for track number 2 here on Xhosa 7 as part of my BattleTech Hotspots Draconis Reach campaign. Things got serious in the last mission. Steve is dead. A longtime pilot for my Scouring Sands campaign. He was a pain in the neck in this one because he was having trouble hitting things. He was supposed to just run away in the last mission. That's all he had to do. Just keep away. That's something I'll never be able to get over. But we must move on. We must pick up the pieces. Ember found herself a new pilot. His name is Derek Harlan. His call sign is Brick. He's from a planet right along the Draconis Combine border, Felinine. And he's a little bit of a cold, calculating sort. Just wants to get the job done, not afraid. He'll get up in people's faces. That's kind of what Ember was looking for. Similar to Steve. Not quite as much fun as Steve, but hopefully he can get the job done. Now, we've got a bit of a weird mission here. We did somehow pull it off in the last one. I feel like my strategizing for the aces was kind of dumb, and I should have just had them run off the map so they could win when it was obvious that they could do so, but instead I had them go for the full bonus pay, and that allowed Ember to keep away and eventually deny them enough points that we could take the victory. So that was great. We got lots of points, but of course we had a lot of things to pay for. We had to get a new pilot. We could have repaired the Victor, Steve's Victor, but we decided not to. Instead, we found a Centurion CN9DA. This is a really new model. It's like 3141 or something. It was produced. Pretty cool mech. It's got a targeting computer, kind of the standard weapons that a Centurion has, an LRM-10, 2 medium lasers, and an autocannon. Does have an XL engine, though, which is always scary, but this thing can move fast. 6 walking, 9 running. And we got it in the scrapyard, and I decided, let's fix this. Let's have the new pilot go in here for this mission, because speed will be important, and the new pilot gets no support points to spend. So they start out as a 4 gunnery, 5 piloting. This mech has a targeting computer, which will bring those numbers down for targeting. I feel like that would be helpful on this. We're playing a breakthrough, and you can see my cards over here on the right. There's going to be 4 MASH vehicles for the attacker, which is the Federated Suns. I have a Skulker card up here because I only have 3 MASH cards, and the Skulker has the exact same threshold and destroy check. I will obviously use the stats for this anytime this unit attacks or whatever they end up doing. You can see, hopefully you can see pretty well on the card here, but it's 1, 2, 3 range, pathetic range, 6 damage. But of course, they're not built for combat. They're built for support. And their job is to get those vehicles across the battlefield to the other side to supply the Federated Suns, who are desperate right now. They cannot get supplies into their camp. They really don't have what they need to fight off the Draconis Combine. And at this point, they have no other choice than to just push these vehicles through and see if they can get there. Let me walk through the mission setup. So I did my between tracks activities. Like I said, we went to the scrapyard and found the Centurion, repaired Ember's mech, repaired the Centurion. We had plenty of time to do that. We figured out what the next track would be, and then I picked my force. And since I was bringing Ember in her BJ2 and the Centurion, I was way under the scale limit, like 2,100 something. So that meant I get way more battlefield support this time. So I get double. So you can convert 640 battle value that you're under the limit into battlefield support points. So that would be 32 additional battlefield support points on top of the 32 you get for free. So I had 64 to work with. So here's the force that I ended up picking. I wanted fast units, and I tried to upgrade some of them. So I ended up with 2 Warrior H8s. They have great range. They don't do a lot of damage, but they can move quickly. They have 10 movement points, and they can ignore all terrain. I didn't know what the map would be, so I wanted things that could ignore any terrain that was out there and just chase these MASH units down as best as possible. These 2 are going to be standard. They're worth 14 points apiece. They're just going to have a 6 skill to start. Then I got a Savannah Master as a veteran and a J. Edgar as a veteran. Again, both speedy. They don't do a lot of damage, but 5 is all we need. Just 5 damage will put those MASH units into a destroy check. They can move super fast. The Savannah Master is 13. The J. Edgar is 11. Yes, they have very bad destroy checks. They could get taken out quickly, but I'm hoping their TMM will protect them. and just let them get a couple punches in on those vehicles and take them down. That's all I need. Then I rolled up. So now that I have my force, I'm trying to follow the rules here on the track setup and everything. Then I rolled the map, and I rolled from the chart that's in the hotspot, and I'll put it on the screen. Ended up rolling Desert 3, which I don't think I've ever used. So when I got it, I had to dig through the Game of Armored Combat box to find this thing. And when I opened it, I thought, wow, talk about like the worst possible map for the attacker. Either side, and I'm going to pick this side to defend. That's my choice in the track setup rules. They only have 2 places to enter. So you can go this way or this way over here. And on this side, you can go this way or this way. When it comes to vehicles, I guess they technically could go this way and then like loop around. But these MASH units are wheeled, so they can't go in woods. So this is not an option for them. And they're not able to get around these partial hexes. That would be leaving the map and they would be destroyed. So they have very limited possibilities here, which is going to make it really easy for me to hunt them down and to block them. I could actually just get in their way so they can't move. So this is all in line for us to win this very easily. But when I tell you the rules, it's confusing what victory means. Second thing is I rolled up an opposing force. And guess which one I rolled? I rolled a 4, and they're just standard units in this case. Got the exact same force as last time, which I actually think is pretty cool because they could repair their units. The Enforcer was in pretty bad shape, but so was the Centurion. They were able to repair, and they're back at it. So we have a Striker, a Shadowhawk, and an Enforcer. I'll show you the details on screen, but you should be familiar if you watched the previous track. But let me tell you the rules of this mission first. So here's what it tells you from the hotspot, like what's going on in this mission. This track will be played as a breakthrough with the Federated Suns as the attacker and the Draconis Combine as a defender. The Federated Suns player receives 4 MASH vehicles to represent logistics trucks. They will receive 50 victory points. They're talking about the Federated Suns for each vehicle that successfully exits its home edge. The Draconis Combine will receive 50 victory points for each vehicle destroyed. It also says crippled or otherwise prevented from exiting its home edge if you're not playing with battlefield support assets. Now it says, skipping ahead a little bit to the next track, the final track in the 3rd month is based on the winner of the previous breakthrough track. If 50% or more of the supply trucks pass through the breakthrough, then the Federated Suns win the track. If less than 50% pass through, the Draconis Combine is the winner. So in other words, if we destroy 3 of these logistics trucks, we win. If they get at least 2 of them off the map, they win. But here's the part I'm having trouble understanding, and there has been some chatter in the Catalyst Discord about this. Are we playing a normal breakthrough track or not? Because in a normal breakthrough track, here's how it works. I get to pick my side. I get to set up on the battlefield within 6 hexes of my home edge. Okay, so somewhere kind of around here. My order is that at least half of my surviving units must make an attack on an enemy unit for 2 consecutive turns. Okay, that shouldn't be an issue. My primary objective is you shall not pass. The defender cripples or destroys at least half of the attacker's starting force by battle value, including assets. So I'm going to multiply all of these, I suppose, and the Striker by 20. That gives us our total battle value. If I cripple or destroy half of that, I get 300 victory points. The order is worth 50, by the way, if I didn't mention that. In addition, there's this suppressing fire secondary objective, and this is for both sides. Every non-BSP unit in the opponent's force suffers at least 1 point of internal damage. If that happens, you get 100 victory points. That's for both. On the attacker's side, their order is that at least half of their starting units, not assets, cross the center line, so that would be this line right here, toward the defender's home edge. That shouldn't be an issue for them. They could probably get there in 2 turns. Their primary objective, of course, is to push through. The attacker moves at least half of the attacker's starting force by battle value, including assets, off the defender's home edge. Makes sense. And of course, they have the secondary objective that all of my mechs, non-assets, suffer at least 1 point of internal damage. Okay, that seems pretty straightforward. The question I have is, do the 50 victory points for the MASH vehicles or the logistics trucks get added into this? So that's an additional 50 points per, mixed in with all those other objectives I just mentioned? Or is this track literally just about these 4 units? If they get one across, it's worth 50 victory points. If we destroy one, it's worth 50 victory points. That I'm not sure, because if you think of it this way, if it's just about these things, then our units are going to only target them, and their units are going to play normally and not try to run off the battlefield. They're going to stay and protect these things as best they can. If they are mixed in, I don't see how these are relevant besides how we play the next track, because they could literally just jump their mechs across and get both of them off of there, and they'll win no matter what, because they'll get 300 victory points for getting half of their force, because those 2 units will be more than half of the battle value, off of the map. They'll get 50 for completing their order. We can't get the 300 and we can't get the 100 because we can't make those 2 mechs go into internal structure. Maybe we get lucky before they get off the map. Sure, that could happen. But assuming they can just jump into here and jump into here and jump off, it's going to be really hard to do any damage to them. So if we're playing that way, it would make sense for them to just use this card and just try to get off of here as fast as possible. That would deny me any points and they will automatically win the track. If we're not playing that way, then the mechs need to stay out here and fight me and try to get us away from these things. I've asked on the Catalyst Discord for confirmation, haven't gotten it yet. So I think I'm just going to start it off playing as though these are the only things that matter. Thematically, it doesn't make sense based on the setup they're giving you for this to just say, okay, it's just a normal breakthrough track. If they get the 2 mechs off, they win, even if all 4 of these get destroyed. Doesn't really feel like that's the way it's meant to be played. Let me know what you think. If I get an answer during the playthrough, I'll mention it and maybe adjust how they play. But I feel like in general, it makes sense for these mechs to protect these vehicles as best they can and try to hurt our mechs as well to get those additional points. So I feel like what I'm going to do is say these are what counts for combat pay and for how we play the next track. If I get a different answer, we'll go from there. All right, with that, let's get started. I don't want to make these intros too long. I mean, if you're interested, you can certainly read the book about the details on the mission objectives. I mean, I always put them on screen, but if you really want to dig into this, I'd recommend you get the book. If you're interested in this story so far, I recommend you watch the other playthroughs. I will mention that our war chest is at 2,593 support points. So we're actually doing well. I mean, we've gotten paid in every mission. So we're doing just fine. But we're starting to see the wear and tear take its toll. Like we're losing a mech now. It's going to be expensive to repair. It's going to be expensive to get another pilot. So we need to continue to win. I think this mission's set up for us to do that, but you never know. Let's roll up initiative. We are the red, and we win by 1. Ooh, just by 1. The commander units, by the way, are going to be the Shadowhawk for the attacker side, and of course, Ember in the blackjack. I'm obviously controlling the attacker through the Aces deck. We have the Star Captain deck again. The Shadowhawk is on the Skirmisher deck. The Enforcer's on the Brawler deck. The Striker, I'm putting on the Striker deck. It was on the Missile Boat deck before, but I just don't feel like that makes sense for this unit. It has such short range. I didn't show that one, but its range is only 3, 6, and 9. So it always wants to get out of line of sight, which I just don't feel makes any sense for this type of unit. So in any case, we're just going to go with that deck. I don't think it really matters. All of the logistics trucks are on the fleeing card. Their priority is to get to that side where I have a movement objective. Not sure if you can see that. Run away, basically. When it comes to initiative order, obviously the Aces cards tell you what order to move the units. I'm not putting Aces cards on these. I'm just going to treat them all as the last units to go. I'm going to roll a dice randomly to figure out which one will go first, but they're all going to be the last 4 units that move, which makes sense. If you're playing this force, you're going to move these last and see where everything else goes. So I'll just roll a 1d6. I got 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've got matching dice on the units. So for example, this one here, I just have the matching 4 on it, and that'll just help me keep straight what's what. But those will all go last. I'll just randomly roll which one moves when. Just like the Aces deck would do. It just saves me a little bit of time. All right, there's my deployment. My units have to be within 6 hexes of the home edge. The rules for battlefield support assets are that VTOLs have to be 1 level above their terrain. So to start off, they're going to have to be at level 3. They're both on a level 2 hex. I mentioned in the last mission, I'm trying to play it a little more out of the box, where you'd be using paper maps that they recommend. I apologize if you prefer 3D terrain, but in order to use one map sheet, I don't really have a blank one that I can put 3D terrain on. I'm just giving this a try. I'll probably switch back to 3D terrain, but just trying to honor the intention of these missions. That's why I'm using it. On that note, I'll do the movement and I will come back and summarize. All right, there we go. That's the first round of movement. I honestly don't know what to do with these vehicles. I did the best I could, but they have such limited options on this map. I just took 2 of them this way and stacked them here. They use their full movement, and I took 2 of them this way with their full movement. I feel like they just got to make a run for it and just hope that 2 of them get across. That's really all they can do. The Shadowhawk and Enforcer had to go first. This wanted to be able to attack everything on the map, so I got it up on a level 2. This one wanted to get lots of cover, but go after the Centurion. Got it into some woods there. I probably need to mark these things to make sure I remember that they're in the woods. And then I decided to bring the Savannah Master this way when those went to this direction. And these started it because they wanted to get out of line of sight. But I'm not going to make them go here, which would have done that. You know, I don't know. I just don't feel like that's a good approach because then they just get stuck here. And now it's going to take them even more turns to get off the map. So I felt like in the best interest of the force, they just have to use their max movement and just hope they survive the destroy checks. That's really what this comes down to, dice luck. That's all this mission's going to come down to. The Centurion moved down this way. I wanted to just give it an option to go either direction if it needed to. VTOL's moved here, Jagger moved this way. We got good shots at these things, but like I said, just comes down to dice luck. All right, let's get into some combat. I've talked about these units in the last mission. These are really cool. This is like the same Enforcer as the Succession Wars, but just upgraded. It's got a large re-engineered laser instead of a regular large laser, an LBX-10 autocannon instead of a regular autocannon 10, and an ER small laser. Lots of armor, hits hard. This was a menace in the last one, but this one might have even been worse. This Shadowhack also has a ton of armor. It's got 2 re-engineered lasers, a large and a medium, an MML, so it can shoot SRMs or LRMs, and it has a one-shot SRM. But we're just going to completely focus on these trucks and try to take them out, and we're going to hope we don't get too damaged by the mechs if that's what they decide to go after. And by the way, just to declare before we get into this, I mean, it's all MASH units, but the Centurion is going to go after this one. Ember and the J-Egg are going to go after this one. And then on this side, all 3 of these units are going to go after this one. That's the way I'm going to do it. This one's going to get out of here scot-free on this round. All right, the Enforcer is up first. And one other thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is that because Steve died, this unit has no handicap. And Ember has 33, but you take the average, which is going to be 17, you round up. But that's not enough for any upgrades for the opposing force. So this is a 4-5 pilot, and this is a 4-5 pilot. So they have downgraded since their last track. They've actually gotten worse somehow. All right, anyway, the Enforcer is going to go after the Centurion. It wants the most armor, which is the Centurion. You know, people have asked me how I do this with the battlefield support assets. I don't know. I tend to just favor the mechs in these cases because if it wants the most armor, the assets are not it. I mean, like the Savannah Master and the VTOLs have low destroy checks. Like if something had a 10 destroy check, I would consider it. So it's going for the Centurion. It's going to fire its LBX-10 and large re-engineered laser. The ER small laser can't hit. Not going to be great numbers though, because it has to go through trees and partial cover. All right, LBX is in short range, needs a 9. It's going through, like I said, trees and partial cover. And the large re-engineered needs an 11 because it's in medium range. Here we go. Holy cow. Okay, well, the LBX hits, the large re-engineered misses. LBX is going to roll up clusters. That's 10. That is, we know that from last time. That's going to be 8 BBs coming in at the Centurion. Any leg hits will be erased. Love having a fistful of dice. Let's see where these go. No head hits, please. Something rolled off the table. Hold on a second. There it is. Rogue dice. Okay. I don't see anything especially horrible. There it is. These 2 won't count. Those are right legs. Partial cover takes those away. So 2 to the right arm, 1 to the right torso, and 3 to the left torso. All right, the head cap and Shadowhawk is also going to go for the Centurion because it has the most armor lost since it just took that hit. It is going to fire its large re-engineered laser, medium re-engineered laser, and it's going to use its MML to fire LRMs. 9s for the lasers, 11 for the LRM. Both lasers are in medium range, by the way, if you were wondering why the numbers aren't so great. Here we go. White is the LRM. Okay, the white hits. The other 2 miss, so the LRM 5 hits. Roll up the clusters on that. Oops. Oh, God, that's a bad one. Just a 3. Just 2 missiles coming in together. That goes to 11. Now, he is coming in on the right side, so I believe that's going to be the left leg. Striker is up next. It is going for the lowest armor. So in that case, see, we have the Blackjack and the J. Edgar as possible targets. It's going to go for the J. Edgar. Has a low destroy check. You would just consider it having less armor, although J. Edgars do actually have decent armor. It's also probably impossible to hit the Blackjack because it has cover. This is going to be an 11 to hit the J. Edgar. Oh, it almost got it. If you're wondering why I'm using green dice, by the way, for this force on the Federated Suns, I usually use yellow. I use all the yellow dice for the logistics trucks. All right, adjacent units have line of sight, so they can hit the Centurion. I don't have an Aces card to determine it, but obviously they would shoot at it because nothing else is possible. They would have too high of numbers. All right, so we'll do the first one. It's going to attack the Centurion, going to have just 8s to hit. Got it. 6 points of damage, actually. Not bad damage. They are also coming in on the left side, so a 9 is going to be the opposite torso, the right torso for 6. All right, the other one's going to go. Also hits. Oh, maybe this was bad movement by me. 7, that's going to be the right torso. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I did it wrong. It was a left torso. It's on the right side. It was left torso for the previous hit. This will be the right torso because it's on the right side. Mash unit's doing some work here. Going to do a piloting check on Brick. We'll see how he does with his first piloting skill roll. All right, and then these two logistics trucks are going to attack the Savannah Master. Going to be 12s for both. There's the first one. Nope. Got half of it. Second one. No. All right, on this side, I'm going to start with the Savannah Master and the two warriors attacking this mash truck or logistics truck. If you're wondering why I have gray and white here, it's because these are regular pilots and this is a veteran. So that has a 5 skill. So we'll do the Savannah Master first. Does 5 damage, has 369 range. So this is going to be a 7 to hit. Excellent job, Savannah Master. I knew I brought you for a reason. That's 5 damage. That will do a destroy check on that vehicle. Okay, I put the 6 there because there's no modifier to the roll. If both warriors hit, there will be a modifier of 1, but both have to hit. So they're going to need 8s to hit. They are in short range. Okay, that misses. I'm not going to roll the other one because it's not going to matter. There will be no modifier to that destroy check. Needs a 7 in the end phase. The commander Ember is up. She's going to fire everything into this mash truck right here. This might not be super smart because if they all hit, it's going to be a lot of heat. But we've held off on these SRMs too often, and I think it's time to do it and get this thing off the map. So she needs 6s, just 6s to hit her ER large lasers. She needs 8s to hit her streaks. She has 4 streak SRM2s, by the way. So these are those. They all need 8s. These are the ER large lasers. They need 6s. If the streaks hit, both missiles hit, they do 4 damage. Here we go. All right, she missed an ER large laser. That's too bad. This missed as well. So she hit 1 ER large laser and 2 streak SRM2s. That's going to be a total of 16 damage. So that's going to get a destroy check with a +1 on it. Nice job, Ember. All right, we're going to go into the J. Edgar now, which is attacking the exact same logistics truck. Didn't follow my own policy. That's a veteran pilot. So this also just needs 7s to hit. It does 2 groupings of 5. So I'm going to roll 2 and see what happens here. Oh, okay, just got 1, but that's important because that now takes it up to 21 damage. So we had 16 before, now it's 21 total. That's going to give it a +2 to that destroy check. Love it. Finally, Brick is up in the Centurion, going for this one, which I declared at the beginning. Going to fire both of its medium lasers, which have a targeting computer, so they're just going to be 7s to hit. And then it's going to fire its AC5, which is unfortunately in minimum range, serious minimum range. It's going to be a 10 to hit. There you go. There are the numbers. Let's do this. 7s and 10s. The red need a 10. The red got a 10. Everything hit. So that's going to be 15 total points of damage. That unit is also going to have a destroy check with a bonus. Going to be a +1. There you go. So we will go into heat. I'll calculate heat, let you know, and then we'll do some destroy checks. But I'm going to do Brick's piloting check first. That happens at the end of the weapon attack phase. And, you know, as I'm about to do this, I'm realizing I made the same stupid mistake yet again. These cannot share hexes. They're treated as mechs. You can only have 1 mech in a hex at the end of a turn. So they would not have been allowed to be in the same hex together. I don't know why I can't keep this straight. It makes so little sense to me. I don't know. I just can't follow it. All right. From now on, I'll make sure they can't be in the same hex. That's my bad. Because of damage, Brick needs to make a piloting skill roll of a 6, 5 plus a 1 for the damage he took. If he makes it, he stays standing. If he misses, he falls. He makes it. Good job. So he stays standing, all good there. In terms of heat, the Centurion, Shadowhawk, and Enforcer are all good. They're pretty heat efficient. Ember, on the other hand, very heat inefficient. 2 of her lasers were fired and 2 of the streaks hit. So that was 29 total heat. That's going to be 7 over. She has a movement penalty of 1 now. All right, let's make the checks. I'm going to do this one first. It has the +2 bonus. Just as a reminder, they need a 7 to destroy. Threshold is 5. That's why they got the destroy check from taking at least 5 points of damage. Here's the first one, needs a 5 or higher. Oh, man, I should have used it for this one. All right, this one's dead. All right, now I'm going to roll this one, which has a bonus of 1. Needs a 6 or higher. Got it. All right, so I pretty much won the mission at this point. The odds of them getting both of these things off the map are astronomical. All right, now roll this one, needs a 7 or higher. All right, missed it. So that one sticks around. By the way, I did mark that unit as degraded, so now it needs a 6 for the destroy check. And that's it for the end phase. I cleared all the dice. We are ready to go for round number 2. And as usual, I'll be doing the second guessing of my decisions, but now I wonder, should I have left these 2 here to hide? But because of that stacking rule, you know, the Savannah Master, I could just put it right here or exactly where it is and just leave it there. It gets its full TMM even if it sits still, and then they can't move through there. They have to just stop. And I can do that in this round, and why wouldn't I? Right? I mean, like, this whole thing just is weird to me with these assets. It's just bizarre. Like it can just stay exactly where it is and it gets its full TMM. Maybe it's just the map, but I feel like this mission is borderline impossible for the attacker. Irrelevant to me. I want to win. We deserve it, and I want some revenge. Here's initiative. We win again by 1. All right, there's the movement, kind of what you'd expect. The Shadowhawk went first. It wanted to jump and get into the woods closer to the J. Edgar, which was here. So jump its full 5 into here. I then just had the Savannah Master chill, and the J. Edgar went this way. I got to remember to use the right dice for these guys. My bad. There you go. Those are veterans. J. Edgar will only be able to shoot at the Enforcer. It won't be able to get this because I think its line of sight is going through this hex right here. No, it'll be able to shoot at that. Okay, good enough. The Enforcer also wanted to jump and get in the woods. It wanted to get closer to the Savannah Master and kind of the J. Edgar. I'm trying to move them as far as they can because I need to figure out if that is a viable way for them to win this, to just get off of the map. I don't know. So I'm just treating them like they can, so they're going to use their full movement to get up there. The Centurion, I decided to just try to get in as much cover as possible because it has a good bit of armor damage on the torsos. I don't want to lose a torso because this unit dies if we do. And so I just kind of buried it in the woods here. It's got woods that it's standing in and woods all around. I'm hoping that will protect it. All right, let me double check that striker and we'll get in combat. All right, that's where the striker ended up going. It would have been targeting the Centurion instead. It would go to cautious and just get the nearest target. And it just wanted to get out of line of sight of as many units as possible. There wasn't a whole lot I could do with that, but going down here, it would only have the Centurion and Ember at that point. Okay, on that note, the Enforcer is up. It does want this Savannah Master because it's within 3 hexes. Some cards have that, some cards don't. So far, it's all been 24 inches, but a couple have the 6-inch range, so that will be 3 hexes. It wants a Savannah Master. I mean, honestly, that's a good choice, as silly as it seems, because the numbers will be so bad, but it needs to remove this thing. It has no chance of winning if it's there. All right, it's going to fire everything. Obviously, the numbers are not great. It does get some help on these two, the large laser and the LBX with the -1 for those. So it's going to need 10s for these, 11s for the ER small laser. Everything's in short range. Here we go. Ooh, got real close, but not quite. Misses everything. All right, let's let these stupid things go real quick. One of these needs to hit, or it has no chance, but it's going to be 10s to hit. Actually, it's going to be 10 for this one, 12 for this one. Give me a break. All right, for the first one, needs a 10. Misses. Second one needs a 12. Misses. I'm trying very hard to not say anything about support assets, but this is just so stupid. Shadowhawk has no choice but to torso twist and try to hit Ember with its medium re-engineered laser in the right arm. Just going to need an 8. It actually wants the Centurion, but the numbers will be 13 at the best. So that's not going to work. I think it'll actually be worse than that. Okay, just needs an 8 to hit the re-engineered medium laser. That looks like a hit. Yep, that's a hit. So this would be coming in on the front side. That would be the right arm on Ember. All right, Striker wants Ember as well. Going to be a 10 to hit her. No cover. Misses. All right, let's see what we can do here. Going to be 7 for the Savannah Master. We're going to hit this front one here. Needs a 7. Gets it. Look at this Savannah Master. What a brilliant choice by me. Okay, another destroy check. That is number 3. You know what? I should have gone for that one. Dang it. Oh, well, already declared. So that's going to be a 7 to get it. I should have attacked this one because that was the degraded one. Oh, well. All right, J. Edgar's going to go. Going to need 9s to hit its 2 groupings. Here we go. Needs 9s. Same one it's attacking. All right, got one of them. That's 5 more, but that does not increase the destroy check. 10 is still just going to be nothing added. I've got to check the line of sight rules on these guys. I mean, they're way up high, but I think I'm such an idiot. Why would I put them there? But I'm pretty sure if the line of sight crosses into an adjacent hex at the same level as the unit, you can't attack it. God, I'm such an idiot. All right, Centurion is up. Wants to go after the Enforcer. That's all it can attack. Has horrible numbers. Going to need an 11 for its autocannon 5 and a 12 for its LRM 10. Here we go. That's the LRM. Let's go, Brick. High numbers. Ho, 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 ho. This is for Steve, you jerk. She's going to fire all of her Streak SRM2s. Going to need 9s for all of them. Edge at the ready. I can't afford to overheat her even more, so she's just going to fire these suckers. All right, 9s it is. Looks like we got one of them. Didn't even have an 8 to bump up. Oh well. 2 missiles coming in. So dinky. Hit his head. Come on. All right, that's going to be the left leg and the right leg. Wow. I can't believe what an idiot I am that I put these two down here and they couldn't even attack these things. I think I did that right, by the way. Let me know if I'm wrong, but pretty sure the rule is pretty simple. If there's an adjacent hex at the same level as the defending unit or the target unit, there's no line of sight, and both of those are passing right through that. So yeah, way to go. Okay, nothing has any heat. Ember cooled off, only one SRM2 fired, so yeah, she cooled off quite a bit. If I would have known that, I probably would have fired one of the lasers, but I didn't know that, and that's what makes this game so much fun. All right, just one destroy check on this one. Of course, again, I bad commanding there. I went for the one that didn't have a degraded destroy check. In any case, it's a 7 to blow this thing up. Got it anyway. Okay, that's gone. So at this point, we got to come back to what I said at the beginning. I don't know what the stipulation is on the rules. It's not clear in the book. Do these points add on to the normal breakthrough and they just determine the next track? Or are they the only things that matter in this track? Because if that's the case, we win already. They can't accomplish the objective. We're going to get 150 points, which we've got already. We also got our order, so we're actually at 200 because our order was to attack units. All of our starting units, I think, had to attack a unit for 2 consecutive turns, which they did. They have not quite completed their order because the Enforcer is right on the center line. He hasn't crossed it yet. He will the next turn, of course, and they'll get their order. But they have 0 points, and this one right here is their only path to points for these, which would be 50. So if that's what it is, we win. If that's not, if it's that these add on to the existing objectives that are already in the breakthrough track, they're going to win. By the way, I have to do the physical attack. I totally forgot. But they would win because they'll, I mean, I guess we could try to take them out, but for the most part, this thing can just jump here and then jump off, and this thing can jump over here and then jump off. All right, I need to do a physical attack with Ember, but I'm realizing I forgot the Shadowhawk is in the woods. Forgot to mark it with that dice, so that streak actually missed. It did not hit the Shadowhawk because it would needed a 10, and I just rolled a 9, so that would not have counted. She's going to try this. It's going to be the same number. It's going to be, well, it's actually going to be a 9 because she has a 3 skill for piloting, plus 3 for jumping, so that's 6, plus 3 for TMM, that's 9, plus 1 for the woods is 10, minus 1 for kicking in the new core rules. So it's going to be a 9. Oh, so close. Oh, that's an attack roll, so I can bump that. You know what? Let's go for it. I'll throw her edge in there. That's going to bump her up to a 9, and let's see where we hit. I think I just rolled 1d6, yeah. It's right leg. That's going to be 9 damage to the right leg. So the 2 damage to each leg come off, and 9 damage to the right leg go on. That's my bad. Sorry about that. So many things to calculate in this game. So roll up initiative again. It really doesn't matter. They win this time. All right, there's movement. Again, kind of what you'd expect. I righted my wrong over here. Savannah Master just stayed. These two moved to this side so they can't attack this thing. With this vehicle assets count as a mech thing, it's so weird and limiting because now like he can't get over there because he can't get in this hex to attack it. I guess this is my choice though to make it so it can't move. I guess it probably would have been smarter just to move this out and let this thing come into the canyon here and we can all just pile on it. Anyway, the Enforcer wanted to go first. It wanted to have line of sight to like everything, I think. It was going after the J. Edgar, so I jumped it up on the top there. It can see everything on the map. The Centurion, I made it just walk 1 hex forward in the woods to get it within 7 hexes of that Enforcer. Got to be careful. I don't want it to take a lot of damage, but I think with it jumping, it should be okay. The Striker has like no options. It just went up there. It wanted to get out of line of sight of everything. Ember jumped backwards this way to bait the Shadowhawk into following her and avoiding maybe their objective of going off the map. It did not bite. It just stayed in the woods, but got within 5 hexes of the edge. Both units can jump off on the next round if they choose. I don't know why they wouldn't at this point. And it's going to try to attack Ember. Basically wanted to be out of line of sight of everything. Obviously, it can't do that with these, but as much as possible and target Ember. There you go. We're up first. We'll just take care of this whole mess over here. Hopefully we get this done because this is stupid and I'm kind of tired of doing it. Got to say, not a fan of this track so far. Most of the hotspots are really good, but this, I don't get this at all. Either way, whether these count as the primary objective or they're mixed in, I just don't get it. Okay, well, I'll do this before I zoom in on some closer shots, but the Savannah Master is going to go after this again. Once again, it's a 7. Once again, it hits. That's 5. We got a destroy check on this thing. There we go. Now the 2 VTOLs will go. They're going to be 8s to hit. We really need both of them. Misses. Okay, so no reason to roll the other one. We cannot get the bonus. So it's going to be a 6 or higher to take this thing out. All right, let me zoom in here and we'll get to the mechs. All right, Brick and the Centurion staring down the Enforcer way up on the hill. Use your imagination. Going to fire its AC5 and its LRM-10 with Artemis. Needs a 9 on the AC5 and a 7 on the LRM. Here we go. The purple is the LRM. Purple hits. He's going to use his edge to bump up the 8 on that. You know, maybe I'll walk that back because he might need that just in case he gets a critical check of some sort with an ammo explosion. Yeah, let me take that back. Don't be like Steve, Brick. Hang on to that thing. All right, so just the LRM hits. Let me roll up the clusters. We're getting a bonus from Artemis. Okay, that was completely worthless. It's 6 missiles either way. It bumps it by 2. 6 missiles for a 6, 6 missiles for an 8. So no biggie. All right, the purple are the 5, the red are the 1. Coming in on the front. Got right torso and center torso. Also, hold the phone. I forgot the AC5 has a targeting computer on it. So that would have been an 8, which it rolled. I rolled an 8. I was going to use the edge to bump it 1, but I didn't need to. It was only an 8 to hit. Coming in on the front as well. Right leg. All right, J. Edgar's going to go coming in on the left side of the Enforcer. 2 groupings of 5. Going to need 7s to hit. Gets the purple. Left side. That's going to be the right leg. Ember on her revenge tour, going after the Shadowhawk again, just needs 8s to hit her 2 ER large lasers. Come on, Ember. 2 of these to the head for Steve. She does hit both of them. Wow, look at that. 2 9s. Okay, 2 12s now, Ember. Ah, too bad. All right, 8 to the center torso, 8 to the right arm. All right, their turn. MASH unit is going to attack the Savannah Master. Just like before, needs 10s. This is just crazy. Misses. Enforcer wants something within 3 hexes, and it has it in the J. Edgar. It can torso twist and fire its left arm, which is the re-engineered laser. It's going to be a 9. Would normally be a 10, but it gets a -1 on the re-engineered stuff. Ooh, just misses. Okay, this is why I use 3D terrain. But I didn't realize that there's like a ridge here. This is a level 1. And there's this outcropping of a level 2 here, but he's actually sitting down on a level 1. So this tree would have counted for Ember's attack. It would have needed a 9, but she got 9s anyway. Okay, so we're all good there. But I'm calculating his number, and I'm like, holy cow, this is almost impossible. I think everything is going to be 12s. 2 re-engineered lasers, medium and large, and using the LRM. Let me recalculate real quick. Indeed, everything's 12. Large, medium, purple's the LRM. Ooh, got a 6, but nothing. All right, dice are cleaned up. Ember has a heat of 4. No physical attacks are possible. If you're wondering if this vehicle can ram this, the answer is no, as far as I know. The rules for battlefield support assets say no charges. Maybe in the core rules they're updating that, but I don't think so. I don't remember seeing that they're able to do anything like that. So it all comes down to this. Will we take out the last logistics vehicle? It has a degraded destroy check of a 6. So if we roll a 6 or higher, it is gone. We do. See you later. All right. They're not getting any supplies at all. No supplies. So at this point, we'll go ahead and end the game because there's really nothing left to do. This is a breakthrough. The only thing left for these two to do is just jump off of here. That will be more than half of their battle value from the start. If that means they win, they win. If it doesn't, then it doesn't make any difference because they can't get any of these off the map. So there's really no reason for them to remain. So they're just going to go ahead and jump off, and that's going to end our mission. I think we've been successful if you think about the premise of the mission. They're trying to get supplies. We destroyed all the supplies. Why would that not mean we're successful for this mission? But if you go by pure points, if they get these 2 units off the map, they win because they get 300 for that. They get 50 for their order, so they're at 350. We get 50 for our order. We get 200 for destroying all of them, but we didn't do anything else. So they have 350, we have 250. They would win. They'd be successful. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. But this is why they need to make rules that are very, very, very clear because there's always room for interpretation on this stuff. And for me, it doesn't matter. I can decide to do whatever I want because I'm playing solo. But for another player, when you're in a group at a game store with, you know, the guys that get real mad about everything, actually, you didn't win. You know, you're going to get a lot of that kind of stuff. And that's why it's really important that the rules say specifically what is meant to happen. Based on the reading, I would say we were successful because it says the winner is determined by the vehicles, and none of them made it over, so we would be the winner. regardless, for determining the next track, we are obviously the winner because it says it's based on the vehicles there. Combat pay is what I'm not sure on. So I'll just wait to hear. I'm going to check Discord again real quick while I'm standing here. Yeah, they're totally on to other topics. Nobody's going to respond to me, I don't think. So whatever. I'll just do whatever I want. But they really got to clean this stuff up because it's 2 times now with 2 different hotspots. We've had this problem. Number 1 was the mission with the 2 objective buildings they had to destroy. They did it and then ran off. So they only got 100 points and then ran off, which supposedly counts as being destroyed if you don't negotiate. So that would be 100 points for me. They did not achieve their order and I did. So do I win? I mean, they accomplished their objective, the only objective. You know, it's not clear. This one, again, I mean, how does this work? It's a breakthrough mission. There's a set of objectives, but are these replacing those? It's just not clear in the book exactly what you're supposed to do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this mission. I didn't. I didn't think it was very good. It just was kind of silly, especially when I rolled this map. It's like, what do you expect? Okay, for those that care, I'm doing some due diligence here on the maps that you could potentially get for this particular hotspot. So obviously one is the one I just played. Another is the one from the previous track, which I think would be still pretty difficult with 4-wheeled vehicles. This is one of the options, and unless I'm missing something, it's literally impossible for a wheeled vehicle to get from one end of the map to the other. This is called Scattered Woods. I don't know. There's water, which it can't go in, and trees, which it can't go in. And the trees basically cover the extent of the map. I mean, you can draw a line through the trees and water from one edge to the other. So yeah, that's like, so 3 of these maps I feel, well, this one's literally impossible. 2 of the other ones would be extremely difficult, as we just saw. This is the only one. This is Badlands number 1. This is the only one that I feel like they would have a legit shot. Lots of open space, lots of different ways they could go. I still think this would probably be pretty easy for the Combine side, but there'd be a chance on this one at least. Anyway, just wanted to show that for those that are interested in just the game mechanics and just the way it's working. I feel like that Scattered Woods needs to be removed. It was nice to get Brick out there. I mean, he took one of the units out. Ember and the Jagger took another one out. And the Savannah Master is our MVP. Took 2 of those out. These were borderline useless. Did they even hit? Maybe one of them did. I don't know. I barely ever had to roll for them because it was irrelevant. But yeah, I mean, total domination for us. I'll wait until I do the after track report to figure out exactly who won for combat pay. But let me just take a quick look at the hotspot and see what we do next. All right, I'll put this on the screen, but it says the final track in the 3rd month is based on the winner of the previous breakthrough track. If 50% or more of the supply trucks pass, Federated Suns wins. If less than 50 pass, the Draconis Combine is the winner. Okay, that's us. If the Draconis Combine wins, they will be the attacker in a strike track. I really wish they had more track types. I'm tired of doing the same ones over and over. The time is right to make an assault on the Federated Suns HQ. And that's cool, but I wish there was some stipulation on it. It's kind of interesting. It actually tells you, regardless of the outcome, the contract is over. And the mercenaries could roll up random contracts to stay on this planet as retainer contracts. So they're just basically the employers are keeping them around to help out, but there's no specific direction one way or the other that continues on from this. That's kind of funny. Okay, but like the other hotspot, the winner of the final track is the victor of the contract and gets the reputation. So we really, really need to win that. I feel like I'm going to stick with the Centurion here because that is quick and I need that in those strike missions. And I'm definitely going to pick some speedy battlefield support assets to go scan buildings for me. I might even find some that have a probe. I think there's a Skulker with a probe. So I got to think about this and really make sure I pick a force that's going to work well. Very happy with my force this time, but I think it was a foregone conclusion that we would win this. But yeah, I'll do that in the after tracks report. I think I'll pick my units and then I'll explain it on that. Then I can roll everything rather than having to do it off camera and then roll just a little bit of it here. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed at least a little bit. Let me know what you think of this mission. If you did it, let me know how you handled this as far as the points go. They can't all be winners. You know how it goes. But looking forward to doing the strike here. I think when I'm done with that, I think we might go to a game world. I want to show some different things in Draconis 3. So I might go to a game world, and then I may fast forward and just jump to the Mallory's world, the capstone, the Loneliness Island, like the big map-based campaign, and show how that works. And then maybe come back to this. But anyway, that's our mission. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments.